Hello and welcome back to my channel, Civil War Reports. I am your War of the Rebellion reporter, Brian Thomas Kopak. And today I am continuing on with my series about Southern history rising again. My last episode, I talked about a return of Confederate General statue to Washington, D.C., as well as giving you an update on what's happening with Section 16 at Arlington National Cemetery. That is the Confederate section of Arlington National Cemetery. Today, we are going to be talking about two more schools in the old Confederacy that are reverting back to their original names, honoring a Confederate general. Hello folks, before I get started, I just wanted to apologize for kind of the delay here. I'm filming this on the morning of Sunday, October 26th. I actually meant to film this a week earlier, but Friday, October 17th was my birthday. Uneventful. I didn't have my daughter that weekend. She was with her mom, so I just kind of got in my car and just drove. Just wanted to be alone, listen to music. And then on Saturday, October 18th, with my company that I work for, I took part in a breast cancer awareness and fundraiser 5K, and it was a lot of good people there. Very emotional for me. You know, if you've been following the channel, you know I'm a prostate cancer survivor, so I'm trying to get more and more involved with the cancer community. And when all was said and done, I was just tired. And the birthday weekend was while nice, being able to help cancer victims and survivors and raise money for the cause. Come Sunday, I was just tired, and I had housework to do. So I apologize for the delay, but let's get on with this episode and talk about how Southern history is on the rise once again. Okay, folks, before I get going and talk about the school districts in the great state of Texas, this is the Texas State Monument here at the Gettysburg National Military Park. Great backdrop for this story. I just want to point out a mistake I made. I'm not immune to them. I do make them. In episode 67, which was published on September 20th of this year, 2025, I stated that a new day has dawned, without mentioning an episode I had done last year in 2024, episode 49, which was published on July 5th of 2024. I talked about how a school district in the Shenandoah Valley was renaming their schools back to their original names that honored the Confederacy. So I kind of forgot about that when publishing or preparing episode 67. So I apologize for that. I apologize to that school district. Sorry for omitting you. But today we're going to talk about two schools in Texas that are going back to their original Confederate names. But before I do, I just want to answer some questions in regard to the special episode I did on Charlie Kirk. There were some comments that were made that I do wish to respond to. In regard to Charlie Kirk, I want to repeat what I said in that special episode. I really didn't know much about the man. I mean, I watched his videos on YouTube. I thought it was great how he would go to colleges and debate college students, college professors, people from the area that would come down. I really didn't know much about the man. I didn't realize how big of an influence he had on politics. Yeah, I'll admit I was very ignorant of him. I knew he had a wife because he mentioned her. I didn't know her name or what she looked like. He mentioned he had two children that he greatly admired, and I don't know if they were a boy and a girl. To this day, I still don't know. I think he had one of each, one boy, one girl. So I was very ignorant on the life of Charlie Kirk, other than what I would see on these clips on YouTube. But what doesn't change, even though I learned more about him, what doesn't change is the fact that the man was assassinated for his political beliefs. And nobody in this country, in the land of free speech, should anybody be in danger of their health or their life just because of their political views. And I say that for all sides. Okay? Unless the speech is deliberately trying to cause a riot or something along that lines. But just to say, this is my belief. When it comes to X topic, this is how I feel. When it comes to Y topic, this is my opinion. Nobody should lose their life over that. And there were some really good comments posted about that. One of them here from one viewer said, keep the dialogue going, keep the conversation flowing. Why can't people no longer agree to disagree? This evil shooter not only killed Charlie Kirk, he destroyed a family. Who kills a man with little children? Great question. Let's keep the dialogue going. Okay, that's kind of what I'm hoping to do right now. Regardless of your political views, you're an American, you're entitled to free speech, and you're also entitled, as the Declaration of Independence says, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's keep the dialogue going. Why can't we just agree to disagree? You know, when I was growing up, when I was in high school in the 80s, college in the 80s, there was a saying, I may not agree with what you say, but I will fight to my death the right for you to say it. Fortunately, we lost that opinion. We lost that belief. We lost that mindset. And things are a lot different now. We got to get back on that path where, you know what, I may not like what you say. You may not like what I say. But please, fight to your death. I'll fight to my death. Your right to say what you say. And there was another person who commented on that, said, we ain't voting our way out of this. My God, I hope you're wrong. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. When the reason why and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but the reason why I say I hope you're wrong is because the last time in this country when we couldn't vote our way out of a problem, we had civil war. Let's try to avoid that going forward. It's a dark time politically in this country. Let's see if we can't get back onto that path where we will all fight to our death for the other person to say what they're saying, regardless of how ridiculous it may be. And hopefully we can vote our way out of this problem. All right, let's get back to Texas and what's happening there. All right, so let's take a look at the school district in the great state of Texas. What's happening? Well, the Midland Independent School District in western Texas, which is about 300 miles west of Austin, in August of 2025, according to edweek.org, voted in a very tight vote to go back to their original names, honoring Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Not that I'm complaining, it just seems a little odd that a school district in western Texas would honor Robert E. Lee. Again, not that I'm complaining. Not complaining at all. But as far as I know, he did not serve in western Texas during the American Civil War. Maybe he was in the western part of modern-day Texas during the Mexican War. I'm not 100% sure. If anybody has any information on that, please let me know. I would love to learn more about that. But anyway, Midland Independent School District, August 2025, voted to go back to their original names of two schools honoring Robert E. Lee. So the Midland Lee High School and the Midland Lee Freshman High School, those are the names they're going to be going back to. And of course, this was not without controversy. One member on the Board of Ed, by the way, I don't have much love for boards of ed. I usually think of the people who serve on them as mostly do-gooders who don't do any good. Well, one member said this is, racist. It's bringing back racist connotations. This is not good for our students of color. They're going to be traumatized. I got to tell you, I went to a high school that had a Dutch name, and I don't remember anybody of color complaining about the Dutch name. I really don't. But anyway, so that's the good news. This is going to take effect apparently at the start of the school year 2026. So that's good, in my opinion. The dominoes are starting to go back up. And of course, the name change took place in year 2020 following the death of George Floyd, when anything Confederate, anything Southern was bad and had to be not only replaced, but had to be purged from American history for the most part. Okay, I'm going to take it a little closer to home, the area where I grew up, and report on a Board of Education. And this also took place in the wake of the George Floyd death. And let's take a look at some of the silliness that the Board of Education did right across the state line from where I grew up in northern New Jersey. I grew up in southern New York, right outside New York City, in what would be the New York City suburbs. And this incident also took place in year 2020, right across the state line, northern New Jersey. Let's take a look at what foolishness took place there. Okay, this next story comes out of New Jersey, and I'm currently standing in front of the monument for the 5th New Jersey here at the Gettysburg Battlefield. It's right along the Emmitsburg Road here. They were originally on the skirmish line, and then this is the area in which they fought on July 2nd. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I've mentioned I was married and cured that problem. And when I was married, I was living in Bergen County, New Jersey, which is pretty much as North Jersey as you can get, because Bergen County does border the New York State line. And this next story is in regard to the Northern Valley Regional School District, involving a member of the school board there, and I'm going to talk about that story. And like I said before, as far as I'm concerned, members who serve on the boards of education around this country are generally do-gooders that don't do any good. And there are some exceptions, and I know actually some people that have served on boards and are still currently serving on boards of education, and I can tell at least one person I know is really trying to make a difference. Okay, so let's go back to July of 2020, when wokeism was at its height. This was shortly after the George Floyd incident. And what ended up happening that involved the Northern Valley Regional School District was there was a member of the board. He was 30 years old at the time in the summer of 2020. According to the Bergen Record, all the information I'm about to tell you now comes out of the Bergen Record, which is the main newspaper, the big newspaper for Bergen County, New Jersey. Well, a board member by the name of Dan Eller, E-L-L-E-R, was serving on the board, and at that time a photograph surfaced of him as a teenager in high school wearing blackface on Halloween. It was part of his Halloween costume. Okay? Maybe not the brightest move in the early part of the 21st century in America for a white guy to wear blackface, but be that as it may. So he's 30 years old, according to the Bergen Record, in year 2020. And a photograph of him resurfaces from when he was a teenager wearing blackface on Halloween. So how does this tie into Civil War reports? Well, very simple. In the post-Civil War era, a lot of white people, not a lot, but I should say, actors, some of them put on blackface, and they were called minstrel shows, and that was throughout the whole Jim Crow post-Civil War era. All right, so what ends up happening, according to the Bergen Record, another board member by the name of Drew Portion, and I like the word Porsche, the car, with an N at the end, P-O-R-S-C-H-E-N. Fellow board member decides to pick up the mantle on this and run with it, and starts really pushing for Mr. Eller to resign. Okay, long story short, Mr. Eller will resign as a result of this Halloween costume. Who knows? Maybe he was dressing up as Al Jolson for Halloween. It was just part of his costume. Okay, I know this much. I mean, if you want, go through my closet, find all the skeletons, dig up everything I did as a teenager. I really don't care. I mean, this was done on Halloween. What can I tell you? Well, I can tell you this much. The Northern Valley Regional School District, I know, consists of at least the towns of Harrington Park, Old Tappan, and Northvale, the town that Mr. Portion lives in. And how do I know that story? Well, how do I know that? Didn't have to do any stalking or looking up on the internet. Well, I don't know Mr. Portion personally. I never met him. He could walk past me. I wouldn't recognize him. I did, many moons ago, many years ago, briefly date his wife. And she ended our relationship by standing me up on my birthday many moons ago. So you kind of get an idea of this family's ability to make good decisions, if I do say so myself. And that, yeah, it's a bit of a biased opinion, I will say that. This is a funny story. This is how I know the good Lord has a sense of humor. When I was married and living in Bergen County, the town of River Vale, which is not in the Northern Valley Regional School District, but it borders Old Tappan, Harrington Park, which is. I was with my wife. Our marriage was falling apart, but her friend, her BFF, split with her husband less than a year before my wife and I would split up. And so one day my wife and I were planning to go to the grocery store and do some other errands, and she says, "Can you run me by my BFF's house? I got something either to pick up or drop off." Sure. So I don't know where I'm going. All I know is that her friend left her husband and moved in with her parents in Northvale. So I don't know where I'm going, but I'm following my wife's directions. Make a right here and a left there, and go down 2 more streets and make another right. And okay, so I make a turn, start going up a bit of a hill. Nice day, got the windows in the car rolled down, and I start hearing the sound of young voices. So I look in the direction of the young voices, and what do I see but Mr. Portion's wife, the woman I dated who broke up with me on my birthday. And I just quickly kind of turned my head, put my hand over my face, because again, things are falling apart between my wife and I. She doesn't need to know who is living in that house. Turns out her BFF lived right next door. I mean, the very house next door. And while I never saw his wife again, I did see that minivan in the driveway several other times as I drove my wife over to her, friend's house. Yeah, remember that day all too well. Pulled into my wife's friend's house, hiding my face. Wife says, "Do you want to come in with me?" Nope. I'm just going to stay right here in the car. And I started singing to myself the theme from the Walt Disney World ride, It's a Small World After All. All right, so why do I mention this? Well, it's Northvale. Northvale was in New Jersey, was very close to where I lived. In fact, I worked in Northvale for many years, and sometimes even walked to work. It was that close. Okay. Also, I mentioned Old Tappan. My first cousin, is married to the former chief of police in Old Tappan, New Jersey. And when I was with them over the summer, I had a feeling this story was going to pop up sooner or later on Civil War reports. And all he would say was that he knew who Drew Portion was, but offered no other details about him. So I don't know what he thinks of him. Maybe silence says a lot. All right, so this all happened again in the summer of 2020. Right again, after the George Floyd incident, the woke mind virus is infecting lots and lots of people. And unfortunately, that board member who because of his Halloween costume, when he was in high school, was forced to resign. Okay. Again, not condoning wearing blackface in 21st century America, but again, maybe the guy's Halloween costume was he dressed up as Al Jolson. But from what I understand, Mr. Portion is no longer on the school board, and I did read online that he ran for public office in his hometown of North Vale, New Jersey. He didn't win. Okay. Again, I don't know this man personally. Wouldn't recognize him if he walked in front of me. So I'm also very glad to see that some school boards in Texas are doing the right thing and reverting back to their original names, honoring General Robert E. Lee, because again, Southern history is American history, and if we forget our past, we are condemned to repeat it. And I don't want another civil war in the United States. One was more than enough. All right, I do thank you for watching. Pleasure bringing this episode to you. Hope to bring more great news about Southern history rising again, because Southern history, again, is American history. So for Civil War Reports, I am your War of the Rebellion reporter, Brian Thomas Kopak. Until next time, thank you for watching. And if you like what you saw today, please hit the subscribe button. Give a thumbs up. Also, notify your friends. Let them know about this channel and ask them to subscribe as well. If you like, you may leave a question or a comment below, and perhaps I will answer your question in a future episode of Civil War Reports. Until next time, please keep the history alive.